Violence against women and girls is a men's issue. We need a growing movement of men to stand up and speak out about men's violence against women and girls. It calls us to delve into parts of male culture that have either been historically apathetic about it or openly hostile to women's efforts to engage them. We have to do more. The movements, like today, are created and built by women. Should we applaud this or be frustrated that men have not been part of this? Are we ready to ask women to step aside and let us lead this, or to stand together to end it? Gendered violence, what is it? Sexual assault, domestic violence, relationship abuse, sexual harassment, sexual abuse of children. These issues have always been seen as women's issues that maybe some good, brave men help get involved with. These are not women's issues. They are mainly men's issues. We need to own this. And this is how it looks and feels. For the year ending March 2016 to the year ending March 2018, 74% of victims of domestic homicide, that's homicide by a partner or ex-partner or family member, were female. Now, this contrasts with non-domestic homicides where the majority of victims were male, 87%. The overwhelming majority of female domestic homicide victims are killed by men. Of the 270 female victims of domestic homicide for the year ending March 2016 to the year ending March 2018, the suspect was male in 260 cases. In 218 of the 270 female domestic homicide cases between those same years, the suspect was a partner or ex-partner. 43 male victims were killed by a partner or ex-partner in the same time period. One study of 96 cases of domestic abuse recorded by the police found that men are significantly more likely to be repeat perpetrators and significantly more likely than women to use physical violence, threats, and harassment. In a 6-year tracking period, the majority of recorded male perpetrators, 83%, had at least 2 incidents of recorded abuse, with many having a lot more than 2, and one man having 52 repeat incidents. Whereas in cases where women were recorded as the perpetrator, the majority, 62%, had only 1 incident of abuse recorded, and the highest number of repeat incidents for any female perpetrator was 8. The study also found that men's violence tended to create a context of fear and control, which was not the case when women were perpetrators. Over 80%, 83% in fact, of high-frequency victims, that's with more than 10 crimes that they're subjected to, are women. That's from a study of data from the Crime Survey for England and Wales, a nationally representative household survey. In the year ending March 2019, the majority of defendants in domestic abuse-related prosecutions were men, 92%, and the majority of victims were female, 75%. 16% of victims were male, and in 10% of cases, the sex of the victim was not recorded. These are our daughters, mothers, sisters, our colleagues, neighbours, communities. These are our friends. These are people, not numbers. And how we use our language to talk about domestic abuse is literally life-saving or not. Let's look at how we think and use language. This exercise will demonstrate. This is how we take the focus off men. Now, this comes from the work by feminist linguist Julia Penelope. Darren beat Rachel. Darren is the subject, beat is the verb, Rachel is the object. Rachel was beaten by Darren. Now, a whole lot has happened in this sentence. Gone from Darren beat Rachel to Rachel was beaten by Darren. That's shifted our focus from Darren to Rachel. Darren is now almost dropped off the sentence, almost close to dropping off our psychic plane. Rachel was beaten. See, now it's all about Rachel. We're not even thinking of Darren. Rachel was battered, just focusing on Rachel. Rachel is a battered woman. Rachel's very identity is as a battered woman. It's what was done to her by Darren, but we have now demonstrated how Darren is now gone from the conversation. Let's look at victim blaming, because this is what happens in the domestic abuse arena. And all of us throughout society reinforce this constantly and have it reinforced by the media and politicians, etc. So let's focus on the victim and not the person who did it. Why do these women go out with men like this? Why does she keep going back? What was she wearing? Why doesn't she just leave? Why was she drunk? Victim blaming. Asking questions about Rachel is not going to get us anywhere in terms of preventing violence. Let's start asking those questions about Darren, the perpetrator. Why did Darren beat Rachel? Why didn't he leave? Why didn't he stop? Why are so many men physically and emotionally abusing women? Why do so many men sexually abuse children? Why do men rape women? Why do men rape men? Why do men kill women and men? This is a deep-rooted, systemic social problem. Society is allowing and creating perpetrators of abuse. Perpetrators are not some deviant or sicko that only comes out at night from a swamp and then goes back once the act of violence or rape has been committed. Perpetrators are much more normal than that. There are sons, fathers, brothers, our colleagues, neighbours, communities. These are our mates. Women who have been speaking out about this for years have been called male bashers, men haters. So society and men have demonstrated that it's easier to shut the mouth of the messenger and not tackle the problems that women are seeing. Society, that's us, all of us, must take the blinkers off. And men must see what women have been seeing for years. Actually, women like men and want relationships with men, but decent men. Not saints, just decent members of society. Men who aren't going to hurt them. And if they start to even talk in that way, other men need to call them out. Men need to speak up. Men need to stand with women and not against them. It's not a war of the sexes. Men are not passive creatures. Don't remain silent. Men are the huge majority, and we need to stand up to challenge abusive men. Speak out against those who use derogatory language against women or sexist jokes. To women, your silence is consent to those who abuse. Speaking out, standing up, will end domestic abuse.